Hey guys, welcome to Comic Convos, and we are back in the comic corner. Just between you and me. I still haven't taken my tree down. It's over there. I just moved it because it was in the way. But welcome back to the comic corner, or the pop corner. I guess I'm just calling this the comic corner because it's where I've been recording. But you know, whatever. Let's just keep moving on. Today's video we are going to do on a book just simply called Justice. It is by far my favorite story and my favorite artwork that has ever been done. It's done by Alex Ross, and he does amazing, just super hyper realistic artwork. I mean, look at that. That is Superman and Brainiac right there on the front. Most of the times, comic books and stuff on the cover, their art looks a lot better than, and not better, but it just looks a lot different than what's inside. But I mean, inside this comic, it's still just all these super hyper realistic drawings, you know? The art in this book is just so amazing. I've been meaning to do a video on this for a while because, like I said, this is my favorite graphic novel or collection of stories, because this is actually three stories pressed into one graphic novel, which, I mean, you know, that's how they usually run. But if you ever did want to get into these, I'm going to do this at the beginning of this video instead of at the end, because this is, like I said, this is my favorite. I definitely recommend reading this, and you guys don't even know anything about it yet. But you can either get this like this in just one big solid chunk, or there are three separate stories that you can get, all just simply called Alex Ross's Justice. And that being said, let's get into the story, shall we? Alright, so in this story, if you guys have ever seen the DC animation Justice League Doom, if you haven't seen it, I definitely suggest watching it. But if you have seen it, it's a lot like that in the aspect of Batman's contingency plans against the Justice League get taken. That doesn't happen until the middle of the story, so let me explain.
Ooh, what about my file? Why's my file empty?
Anyway, that's lunch. Shakey's or...
No, Batman, I want to know. If I turned evil, what ingenious plan have you devised in order to... Ow, I give up!
Just kind of like that.
At the beginning of the story, what happens, or what seems to happen, is all of the heroes and kind of, you know, just all the good guys happen to have the same nightmare about the end of the world. They just have this horrible, horrible dream about failing. People are dying, heroes are dying, Superman's not quick enough, Flash isn't quick enough, Wonder Woman's not strong enough, Batman's not smart enough. Like, it's just the worst day that the Justice League could possibly have. And obviously it's all a dream sequence, but they don't know that. They think it's real when it's happening, you know? And then they all talk about it like, hey, I had this really weird dream, and so-and-so's like, man, I had that dream too, that's weird. And they start talking about it, and they're like, alright, well, you know, somebody's definitely messing with us, but, you know, let's just move on. And then all of a sudden they see all the villains of the world starting to do, like, good stuff. Like, there's like this danger coming to Earth, you know, they all know that stuff is happening, and they're like, oh, well, we made these cities of tomorrow, we made all these huge things, and we're gonna run, like me, you know, Lex Luthor, I'm gonna run the first one, and then, you know, Grodd is gonna run this one, and Poison Ivy's gonna go run this one. And it was just really strange because all this stuff kind of came out of nowhere. It was just like, all of a sudden, everybody's loving the villains. The villains are like, you know, they're toy makers making limbs, you know, like prosthetic limbs for people and doing good. And, you know, Captain Cold is sitting there making icebergs for people in the desert so that way they have water and stuff, and having tropical paradises, and, you know, making, you know, they're all just like really randomly just doing all these really good deeds. And obviously they're villains. It's for their own greater good and to really throw off the heroes. But while all of this is happening, while the heroes are just kind of sitting back and watching this unfold because they don't know what to do, you know, everybody's like, where's the Justice League? What is the Justice League doing about this? And Justice League is like, dude, there's nothing we can do about it. They're not hurting anybody. So, like, kind of let them do their thing. And then they started hurting people, but they started hurting the Justice League, and, like, you know, they hit all the Justice League where they hurt, which obviously they used kryptonite for Superman. Obviously, you know, they had something to do with the Flash where he just couldn't stop running. If he stopped, like, what was that one movie? I think it had Nicolas Cage in it. I was wrong, it was Keanu Reeves, where the bus couldn't go under like 65 miles an hour or something, or else it explodes. It was something along those lines with the Flash. He just kept running and running and running until he couldn't stop. And my favorite one was the fact that they were able to somehow boom tube Green Lantern into an unknown portion of the universe to where not even his ring could recognize it. So there was no possible way for him to get back home. He actually had to digitize himself into electric energy or whatever inside of the ring. So he was living in the ring, and the ring's like, you're going to live here forever, but you're going to be alive. You're going to be alone, but you're going to be alive. And I was like, I don't know if that's better. He gets saved by like Dr. Fate and the Phantom Stranger and all that stuff, and they come to the rescue, and everything kind of starts to come back, and you find out that Aquaman's been kidnapped, and they took his son because Brainiac is trying to do something with his son. People don't know a lot of this, or a lot about Aquaman, and I know that I'm not an Aquaman expert, but Aquaman is definitely a cool character. In this comic, they cut out half of his brain. They cut out like a whole portion of his brain, and it grew back. It just grew back, and that's why Brainiac wanted, Little Arthur, I think is Arthur Jr. I'm not quite sure what his kid's name is, but I think it's Arthur Jr. I think he was just, if I'm wrong, comment what it was, but I'm pretty sure it's Arthur Jr. Anyways, so Aquaman is like, he's out on for blood. He's like, no, you took my kid. I'm coming for you. After he escapes, I think, Martian Manhunter helped find him, but they had to get Martian Manhunter because Martian Manhunter had this he was set on fire, and he tried to go into the ocean. It still wouldn't go out, but he wasn't actually on fire. It was just something like drug that tricked his brain to thinking he was on fire. I don't know. It was like a whole complex cluster of stuff, but I'm not going to go through every detail because there is a lot of details in this book. This is a very good comic. There's some funny parts, there's some dark parts, some sad parts, some heartwarming parts. Like, you guys got to read this book. It is just so amazing. But basically, to get the gist of it, good guys or bad guys are pretending to be good. Then all of a sudden, the good guys are seen as bad because they're not doing anything about said bad guys. So then the good guys are all getting ridiculed by the civilians. Bad guys get rid of the good guys. They just do whatever they can to take them out of the picture. Then the bad guys start being bad guys. Mind you, Joker's in the background for all of this, just kind of doing his own thing. Nobody really knows he's there, and Joker kind of ruins their plan later on in the story. You could figure out how. Bad guys get rid of good guys. Good guys come back. Good guys realize they can't fight the bad guys right away. So they get armor and stuff, which actually, they get this really, really cool looking armor stuff. It's the metal men, I believe, and they just kind of melted them all around and made super armor and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. I like those pictures and all that, because then you have like the one of the villains, and then one of the heroes and stuff. I thought that was really cool. But anyways, so they cover themselves in armor and they go and fight. And they're fighting. Obviously, the good guys win because the good guys always win. Well, not always. There are quite a few books where the good guys didn't win. But anyways, so that's Justice. Justice is it's a really good book. It's a big book. It's not a long book, but there's a lot of stuff to pay attention to. The artwork in it definitely helps you pay attention to detail because there's just things in the background that they might not even mention, but they'll say later on in the story, and you're like, wait, I remember seeing that in the background over here and stuff. Or like, oh man, like honestly, everything looks so real. It's almost like reading one of those comics that was based off of a movie, and nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to go and read Iron Man 1, the comic book. I'm sorry, that's just not happening. I'm not trying to read Batman v Superman, the comic book. If I wanted to do that, I would just read The Dark Knight Returns. Like, it's just, I don't know. Alex Ross just does great artwork, and I definitely recommend going and checking this book out. It is amazing. This is, like I said, my favorite comic. I will reread this until the end of time. This is just, it's a good read every now and then just to pick it up and blast through it a little bit. I mean, they got a little bit of everybody. They got all the villains in here. They got all the heroes in here. I mean, Gorilla Grodd's in this. They don't use him that often. They got the Flash. They got Shazam. They got Lex Luthor being, Lex Luthor at his prime. He makes a lot of technological advancements. They got like Solomon Grundy and stuff. It's just like Parasite. Look, they got Parasite. How often do you see Parasite in a comic? Not that often. So it's just, I definitely recommend reading this book. Anybody that knows anything about comics, if you guys don't know anything about comics, Alex Ross is definitely the name to look for when you're looking for good artwork. I know artwork is definitely one of the things that I use to look for my comics. Not the main thing. I do like a lot of authors, but I want the artwork to captivate me too. You're not going to go and play a video game that has horrible graphics but a good story. You know, it's not what you do. I think that's all I have to say about this. I definitely 10 out of 10 recommend it, maybe 11 out of 10, because it's an amazing book. I was going to wait a while to do this one because it is my favorite. I've read it a million times. I was going to try to give you guys a full detailed analysis of it, but you know what? I want you guys to go out and get this. This is definitely the one I would push for you guys to go get, because you won't regret it. It's an amazing story. This is a story you don't forget. But I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on about comics. I appreciate all of you guys following and watching my videos. I know that it's a stupid little channel, but I do appreciate the support, and I think that's going to be it. That's all I'm going to ramble on for today. So thank you guys, and definitely, once again, get the book. Don't not get this book. I think it's only like $40, $30. It's $30, so it's even cheaper. Go get this book, guys. Just do it. Just get the book. I'm not even going to do an outro. Just get the dang book. Get it. You want it. You know you want it. Get the book.